Hello, I'm the Irresolute Cartographer, and this is the game Mass Effect Andromeda by BioWare Montreal. It's a game that I originally played when it first came out. I actually played it on the EA Access early release thing. And I stopped playing it for a while just because it was so buggy upon release that I just could not actually complete a lot of the quests because they would not go through. Now, I apologize if there are some occasionally slow frame rates on this. It works perfectly fine when I'm not recording, but obviously it using a little bit more power by recording it at the same time. So, anyway, this is the planet Eos. It's one of the planets that the Andromeda Initiative is attempting to turn into a habitable world in the Andromeda Galaxy. The Andromeda Initiative, of course, being a 600-year journey, or a group that took the 600-year journey from the Milky Way galaxy to colonize the Andromeda Galaxy. Now, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers as much as possible in this, just because if you're looking for spoilers, I'm sure someone else has some out there, and I'll probably actually do additional videos on the entire Mass Effect series at some point, and in that I'll go through spoilers, but this is just to give folks an idea of what the game is like. So, again, this is Eos. There's the Tempest over there. That's the ship you get as the Pathfinder. It's basically the Normandy of the Mass Effect Andromeda series. Except for the Tempest can actually land on planets, whereas back in Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, the Normandy was always in orbit or docked in a massive spaceport. You could not land it on a world. You'd have to take a shuttle down. The Tempest is also not armed, given that the intention of the Andromeda Initiative was to show that the species of the Milky Way galaxy who were arriving were peaceful. They kept these ships unarmed, and they also kept the Arcs and the Nexus. The Nexus being the basically the citadel of the Andromeda Galaxy, and the Arcs being the ships that carried over all the colonists. They were all unarmed in terms of large-scale guns. Now they do carry small arms, and you can see here on my back I've got small arms. But yeah, again, to show that they were peaceful races, they skipped having guns on the ships, which actually ends up being an issue. Because I mean, there wouldn't be a game if there wasn't danger in this that you're going into. So I'll board the Tempest real quick. Now, the unfortunate thing with this is they made it so you have to automatically go into orbit every single time you enter the ship, which is a poor decision, I think. Okay, so here's the bridge.
Pathfinder, got a minute?
Now, you can see here we go. Okay, so we've got these two members of the bridge crew up here, and we got this big old window. Now the thing is, I don't know if this is a window. From the outside, it looks like it may be like a solid sort of ceramic surface on which maybe they're projecting the view of the outside from the inside. So you have a view of the outside without it actually being as dangerous as having a full open window. And you can see it's got these kind of hex tiles to it. Um, the thing is, I can't honestly tell whether or not it's a window or if it's actually a solid barrier, because I've gotten from the outside, again, it looks solid, but I've had members of the crew talk about them as windows, which I feel like they'd say they were screens or something like that if they were screens. And if these are windows, this is a extremely poor choice when it comes to building a spacecraft, anything that could possibly face any sort of combat, because you get a single hole in a window like this, and you're going to be venting the atmosphere of the bridge out into space. And it's a poor design decision to build something like that. And also, you notice here the galaxy map is located on top of a glass platform. I don't understand the design there. Along with that, to go back here, you've got a glass walkway. The glass walkway, it looks nice, but let's say that the ship gets damaged in a fight, and there's a, just even if it collides with something, I'm willing to bet you this glass walkway breaks at some point, and then not only are you got no walkway here, but I don't know. It seems like it was a poor decision there.
I hear Sarah's doing well.
Now, this is where you get your access to your strike teams. the AVP, which is the Andromeda Viability points. So when you initially arrive, you have the entire ship, the Ark Hyperion, the human Ark, has 20,000 people in stasis on board, I believe. Now, when you initially arrive, you have no habitable worlds to put these people onto, meaning that a lot of people are going to have to stay in stasis until you have the food to feed them, and you got the space to have them spread out onto. So, as you make Andromeda more viable, you get access to Andromeda viability points, which gives you the ability to open up these cryopods, which basically gives you these little additional traits and helpful things that you get to go along with it. So you got science, military, and commerce. Now, I've completely filled them out, and you can see that even having filled that 28, opening up 28 of these pods, I've got 27 extra cryo points left, and I actually have not fully completed the game. I've finished the main mission, and I've finished most of the side objectives, but it's telling me that I'm 96% complete. So, like with the science pods, you get more research. Oh, and you get collections, which it's unfortunate that they do it this way because they basically make you have to come back to this console every 45 minutes to claim all these rewards that you get. Now, some of them are passive, like you get stuff like this, which increases the research data you gain by 10%. And that's a passive bonus, and that will affect you no matter what. But to get these other ones, you have to come back and activate this every 45 minutes like it's some sort of mobile game. And I honestly have just forgotten a majority of the time. I've probably collected this 5 or 6 times over the course of, I don't know, 80 hours? Let's see exactly what my save is. It's probably not fully accurate, but we may as well check. Yeah, 21 hours is definitely not accurate. Oh, that's that time, sorry. 83 hours, there we go. And that's probably pretty accurate. 97%, so, and level 61 there. So, let's see. Back to the AVP. So anyway, so yeah, and you get, there are nice little bonuses here, things that will actually, I mean, all these little ones are nice. Some of them are directly affecting your inventory and things like that. Other ones are little additional bonuses that you get. But so yeah, I've unlocked 28 of them. I got 27 more points to go. But I can't invest them in anything because I've actually fully opened it. Now this right here is the research center in a buy-sell kiosk. Typically in this game, you will not find you have to buy any armor or weapons. Now, that's at least the way I had it be. I came about it. Now, I did end up buying little models of ships and things like that. But, so, research center. You've got research, where you've got Milky Way, Helios, and Remnant Technologies, each one having weapons, armor, and augmentations. Now, if I put points into a weapon over here, now, again, you see I haven't put anything in here, and I've got quite a bit of Remnant research data left. I've been using all my weapons and armor as Milky Way technology. That's just because that's the kind of style of armor I prefer, and the projectile type I prefer of weapon. But I'll just show you over here in this because I got a lot of points. Let's say that I want to get myself a Shadow Sniper Rifle. I can go in here, and you can see each tier has an increasing quantity of remnant research required, but I'll just I'll hit space to research it, and I'll just research the rest of these real quick. Now then, let's see if that, yes, see now it also opened up an advanced sniper rifle one. I can put all the points into that. Oh, but see, I have to be level 70 to upgrade to the next one. And then level 80. But let's compare that to the sniper rifle I'm currently using. And I'm assuming that's comparing to the sniper rifle I'm currently using because I think that's what it's doing, but I don't know. And you can see it does significantly less damage. It's got infinite ammo though because it's a piece of remnant technology. It's also got a higher rate of fire, a larger max clip size, but it's a little bit less accurate and it weighs a little bit less. So, and just as a side note, the weight of items does matter. If you have too much weight in your inventory, it slows down your what are they called? Your abilities in terms of their cooldowns. The cooldown gets longer. Now that I've researched that, though, I can go into development. I can go into weapons, and I can go to sniper rifles, and the Shadow Sniper Rifle 8. I can make one if I wanted to. I've got plenty of resources because I haven't really manufactured almost anything other than armor and sniper rifles for myself using Milky Way technology. Now, I'll just show you how this works real quick. Select the blueprint, select augmentations. You've got a lot of different items in here that you can consider. Bioconverter, which drains a little bit of your health to refill the clip. Another one that just increases the... Some of these just increase the quality of like cryo ammo, disruptor ammo, and thermal ammo. The same ammo you got in the previous games. Incendiary ammo, sorry. And, other ones do more shield damage. So I'll just put that in there. I'll make it so it does more weapon force, or more force with your powers. And you can actually add this right here, a grenade launcher, which completely changes the projectile of the weapon and turns this into a grenade launcher. Now, I'm not going to do that because I'd prefer to have this as a sniper rifle. But anyway, at this point, I can hit craft, and I can name my weapon as well. I'm just going to go ahead and call it the Shadow 8. And there we go. The Shadow 8 has been added to my inventory. Now, I think that's enough on that, other than just to say, it's nice that they've got these things right next to each other, but why they didn't include the buy-sell kiosk as a part of the research center is a strange thing to me. Now, to continue the weirdness of the ship design, I mean, why would you ever want this many windows? And I do think these are windows because they seem to be having the lighting effects that windows would have. Now, granted, these could be screens, but I don't think they are. And this would just be a horrible design. The number of windows you got around this main upper room in here. If one of these breaks, you lose access to like half the ship unless you're wearing a suit. Now they've got this area here which contains not anywhere near the amount of plant life you'd have to be able to support this sort of crew. But I mean, that's kind of a nitpicky sort of thing. It's not like they're really going to be using that all the way. That's probably just like a little bit of a research greenhouse sort of thing. The armory over here. You can see some of my crew members there. The crew I actually did not feel horribly connected to until after I came back, after I just stopped playing for about a month because I couldn't deal with a number of bugs. Now, I do have pretty much what most people would probably consider to be a game-breaking bug, where every single time I get a critical hit or I kill something, it freezes the game for a second, and I might show you that a little bit. It seems to be a memory leak, and the fact that they have not fixed that at this point is just, it's inconceivable to me. It's been months now. And I know I'm not the only one who's had it. I've seen other people who have had the same leak.
So my buddy Jill, who, by the way, can't stop singing your praises.
Okay, I'm gonna...
And, stop me if you've heard this one before. She asked me if I'd father it. Wow.
Now you can see here they've kind of fixed the facial animations and things.
I don't know. I'm still in the freaking out phase. Would it be totally crazy if I said yes?
I don't think it's crazy.
I mean, we're already family. I get her, she gets me, and we support each other unconditionally.
Wanting to give someone what they want most in the world is love, Gil.
I hear you. And you know I've been thinking about it, Ryder. Becoming a dad. I don't want to just be a donor. Bringing a kid into the world wouldn't be enough for me. I'd want to raise the child with Jill.
Sounds like you know what you want.
Yeah. It's funny, you can think...
The beards in this are really weird. I don't understand. They look like they just kind of painted on. It's strange.
I'm very happy for you, Gil. For both of you.
Thanks, Ryder.
Riders is the only one that looks anywhere
Uncle Pathfinder.
like anything real. And like this guy looks like he's got sandpaper glued to his face. And that's really my main critique when it comes to the facial textures now is the facial hair is still screwed up. Everything else seems to have been worked out. Things look a lot better than they used to. In fact, I might show you, well, actually, I don't know if I'll be able to. Okay, sorry if there's a little bit of a jump in the video here. I just hit a spoiler and I had to cut it out. So, and I don't have the, I've got new video editing software, but I'm still not entirely 100% knowledgeable on how to use it effectively, so I'm working on it. But yeah, let's see, where was I? Okay, so yeah, the overall ship design's okay, but there are some serious weird flaws to it. But that aside, I'll show you the
Writer does lead us to interesting places.
I'll show you the Pathfinder's room. Another room with massive windows. I mean, back on the Normandy, you had these little windows. I mean, they weren't tiny, but they also weren't anywhere like this. You got email, space hamster. This is where you put up ship models you find. I wonder if this is still bugged. I actually haven't tried this in a while. I wasn't able to change my wardrobe before. Let's see. Oh, that seems to have worked. Let's see if I can customize colors. I'll go like that. Let's see. Alright, that seems to have been fixed before. Who knows, maybe I was hitting the wrong buttons, but back in like March I wasn't able to fix the colors of my uniform to whatever I wanted them to be. Yeah, so I mean, the ship design's not horrible in the other areas, but things like this glass walkway still bother me. I mean, there was an entire speech given to you by an admiral in Mass Effect 1 where he was complaining about windows. And now we've got stuff like this. Alright. Let's see. Now, I do have the entire galaxy map. Well, not even a galaxy. That's the funny thing. They call it a galaxy map, but it's just a cluster map. Because you're in the Andromeda galaxy and you don't have the mass relays that the Milky Way galaxy has, or had at this point, I don't really know. I'm not going to go over any sort of allusions this makes to the original trilogy, because that would be a spoiler. But if you look at this, this is just one cluster. It's kind of like in Mass Effect 1, you went to, I don't even remember, a dozen different clusters, the same sort of thing in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Well, this is just one cluster. It's just that you've gone to many more systems in this cluster than you went to in any of the clusters back in the Milky Way. And unfortunately, some of them are completely just bare, really. And I mean, it doesn't make that much sense to me because, like, back in Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2 and 3, you couldn't land on every planet, and I wasn't expecting that from this. But at the same time, there seems to have been more interesting stuff in Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2 and 3, like just in the description of the planet. And granted, those are worlds that we know things about, that have been charted before, and so there's a database of knowledge about them. A lot of these worlds have never been seen before, so that's why they got names like HO88. But at the same time, I feel like there was more data. Like, let's just click on one of these. Now, they have made it so you can skip this scene, but this is the way it used to be. I'll just show you this once. You used to have to do this with every single world. You have to do one of these slow-moving shots from planet to planet. And it's not even a loading screen because you can automatically jump. But anyway, so let's just get a look at this world right here. See, now, I remember in Mass Effect 1, and I probably will make a video about the differences between the planet views in Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, and now Andromeda. But you can see with this analysis over here, it's a tiny amount of analysis. And I feel like there's even less data about the planets than they used to have. They used to have, like, they've got orbital distance and period and radius. Those are all things they had before, along with the atmospheric pressure and surface temperature. But I do believe that there was more data on the in the previous Mass Effect games than there is on this. And again, could be that you could just explain that away by saying there are more databases, you've got more information about the worlds, but even then, it seems like it's lacking. So you can activate scanners to get in close, and it's the same sort of Mass Effect 2. You find things, you drop stuff on them, but the mining is done very differently. It's kind of a mix between Mass Effect 1 and 2, in that you gotta find mining node areas on the worlds, and then you do a scanning sort of thing by driving around and releasing robots when you get the frequency of the mineral finder thing to go up. So, but there is a neat thing about this where if I exit the planet view here, the galaxy map, it shows me sitting here in orbit above the planet, which is neat. I mean, that's one thing I'll give it, is that it does look very neat, and that's a neat little feature of it. But let's go to one of the worlds you can land on. And I don't really think that landing on any one of these worlds is any sort of real spoiler, to be honest. I mean, a lot of this stuff they showed you in the trailers, if you watched any of that. And even then, I mean, you had to know you were going to be able to land on some planets. This will just give you a little bit of information about them. Alright, jumping to Kadara. Okay. And I'll just skip that. You don't need to see that again.
Now orbiting Kadara.
Alright. We'll land. Now, the goal with Mass Effect Andromeda is to find habitable worlds and to put outposts on them so that the people of the Milky Way galaxy have a place to live here in the Andromeda system. Well, system, galaxy, in the Helios cluster. Alright, so this is Kadara Port. It's up here high above the ground below. And I can take the transit hub here, take it down to the slums. Now you can see here, this is the loadout screen. These are my weapons. I got melee, I got my sniper rifle here, shotgun, submachine gun, and rifle. And they've actually added a lot of melee weapons in this, which I think is neat. You got the typical Omni Blade from the original series. You got the Asari swords, Krogan hammers, Ket Karphalans, and a biotic amplifier too, if you're just looking to increase the damage you do with biotics. So, anyway. Armor, I've just gone with N7 stuff across the board. I just like the classic look of it. Consumables, I actually didn't even know I had access to these consumables for quite a while. Kind of funny, I think, but anyway. Crew members here, I'm not going to show you the other ones. These ones, I mean, are pretty much the ones you see in all the trailers and things, so anyway. Nomad customization, you can change paint color and stuff like that. This is the pre-ordering one right here. The one that just turns it completely gold. In fact, I'll do that just because it looks a little bit ridiculous. Alright. Now again, the goal with all this is to make these worlds habitable. And it involves like a sort of terraforming sort of thing. In this case, when you originally arrive on Kadara, the planet has a very toxic water supply. And by doing some activities here, I've managed to make it so that the water is no longer toxic. Jump jets. Alright. Now you saw there was a little bit of a biotic flair to that. That's because that's the specialization I went into with this guy. Alright. This is a forward operating post right here. Here you can change your loadout. You can call in the Nomad. It's got a terminal too. But anyway, so here's the Nomad. It's basically the Mako from the original series, but it doesn't have any weapons. But it also does control, I think, better than the other one did. So Yeah, these pools over here were originally toxic.
Tactics. I ran into this scarred up merc who had some really good. You don't care.
It's just, I've studied tactics from thousand-year campaigns, Liam.
Man, this story killed back home.
So, let's see, this current mining zone I'm in is depleted. Let's see if I can find you another one. Now, the Nomad has 2 speeds, fast and all-terrain, basically, 6-wheel drive. I'm in fast right now because the terrain's relatively flat, but let's see if we hit a hill up here, if you'll get an indication of how it slows down. No, it's pretty shallow slope there. Alright, you got a boost. You got the ability to jump. And there's a low gravity world you land on at one point, and that actually is a lot of fun. Let's see. Okay, so a lot of things to do on the map. Most of these are just secondary objectives at this point. Not even secondary, they're tertiary objectives, like going to these hidden caches and stuff. I'll go over to this mining zone here, which I had revealed to me because of a one of the cargo cryopods I opened. So let's see. Again, I apologize if the frame rate dips a little bit here. When I'm not recording, this is typically getting 60 or so. Okay, let's see if I can... Alright, it's going to be around that hill, I think. Oh, I can probably just show you the combat bug I've got. Okay, no trouble there. See how it freezes there when I hit that? Critical hit and killed it. No trouble. No trouble. Let's see. There we go, critical hit. See that? And when you're fighting humanoids, when every headshot is a critical hit, see right there? I mean, it's maddening. Every fight being like that. You might even wonder how it is I managed to get through the game like that. Well,
From all over, helping out when it mattered.
I wanted to finish the game.
All we needed was coordination.
Out of the zone.
Different from how Ryder runs the team.
It works. Might work differently if we were at war.
Lucky we're not then.
So you can see the aluminum's going up. Oh, and see I was trying to go uphill there, but I'm in the fast drive right now. Switch it over to 6-wheel drive, and I can climb the hill a little bit better. Ugh. Showed you the wrong point there. There we go. Okay. Fire off a probe. Probe comes down. There's the mining for you. Alright. Well, that's a general view of how that works. So let's see what else we got on the map here. Caves, remnant monoliths and things like that. Yeah, I think that's all I can really show you without spoiling too much here. So, the nice thing about the Nomad, though, you don't have to go all the way back to Kadara Port. You just hold down the extraction button, and you leave. Now, it shows you the exact same cinematic every single time you leave. Now, this is, I mean, per planet, there's a leaving and arriving cinematic, and this is the Kadara leaving cinematic, and I've seen this thing 20 times. And it's just, yeah, it looks nice. But at the same time, I don't need to see it every single time, and there's no skipping it. And you know, it'd be different if it was like a different time of day anytime you're leaving, but no, it's always at sunset. Alright, now I'll show you the Nexus, which is the
I think Lexi wanted to speak to you. No one's in Kadara.
the Andromeda equivalent of the Citadel. I'm hoping I don't run into too many spoilers there, but we'll see. If I do, I'll just cut that content out. So, overall, I showed you I've got about 80 hours of gameplay, and I'd really say only about a quarter of those were really horribly stimulating. Alright, let's see. Well, not a quarter, maybe half of them. The secondary quests, I'd say that they're better than Dragon Age Inquisitions, but they're just nowhere near as good as the main quest. And the problem I've got with the main quest is it doesn't really even start to get good until you're way into it. And really, when I started playing this game early on, I was not really thrilled with it all that much. It didn't really feel like a Mass Effect game. I mean, there were no mass relays and stuff like that. It didn't seem right. Which obviously there aren't going to be mass relays if you know anything about the lore of the Mass Effect universe, but the game didn't feel like Mass Effect. But I would definitely say that by the last few missions, it absolutely felt like a Mass Effect game. The last mission in particular felt very, very Mass Effect. Alright, so here we are on the Nexus. In this ridiculous uniform that I'm wearing right now. Okay. So I will avoid looking at the locals there. Okay. The blonde afro guy. Always wandering around this area. Okay, well, I don't really want to go in there. Okay, so yeah, this is the Nexus. It's just like the Citadel was back in the Milky Way. At least it was intended to be the seat of government for the Andromeda Initiative when they arrived. This is where the Arks are all supposed to come and dock, and it's again supposed to be the seat of government. Now I'm not going to go into exactly how that works out, but it's not as cool as the Nexus, just because the Nexus really it had a lot more to it when you consider it, or not the Nexus, the Citadel had a lot more to it, because the Citadel had been settled for millennia, and so it was run down in areas, there were slums. This is all brand new, and it all looks very nice, and it's a neat place to go, but at the same time, it just doesn't have the same charm that the Nexus had. I will say I'm not going to spoil it exactly, but I'm not thrilled at the way that they indicate the way that the original trilogy ended. But I mean, there's no real way that they're going to please everybody on that, and I don't blame them for making the choice that they made, or at least the choice that they seem to have made. But it also does seem like it's a choice that could easily be written off later on. So again, yeah, I'm going to avoid showing you too much of that because I actually don't know how many spoilers I'm going to see walking around in there. There are already a couple. You may have seen some of the local alien species walking around there. I tried to avoid looking at them, but clearly they were visible, so. Anyway, and again, the fact that they make it so you have to take off immediately upon entering your ship is unfortunate. I remember back in Mass Effect, the first trilogy, you could walk around in your ship, but you'd have to go to the galaxy map and tell them you want to take off. Alright, so would I recommend it? To a fan of the Mass Effect series, yes. Now, this is those bugs, specifically the critical hit and kill bug, where it's freezing my game every single time I shoot because of a memory leak. It's unacceptable, and it's ridiculous that BioWare and EA have been okay with this. I understand. It's like, look, I know it's not affecting everyone, but the fact that it is affecting some people, it's unacceptable. Because this game, I know that it's had some stuttering frame rates at times, but that's because I've been recording it. Anytime I've been playing this without recording it, I have noticed no frame rate drops like that. So it's entirely just a bug here, and it's an unacceptable bug because it very nearly ruins the game for me. The story, especially by the time you reach the end, I think it's a good story. The overall gameplay is good. Again, I can't recommend it for combat because the bug has ruined the combat for me. But as a Mass Effect game, I recommend it because it feels like a Mass Effect game, especially by the end. And I think they've set things up to be very good for either a sequel to this or for the DLC. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that all works out. So, again, I'm the Irresolute Cartographer. This is the game Mass Effect Andromeda. You can pick it up on EA's Origin service for $60. At this point in time, if you're not the biggest Mass Effect fan, you probably haven't picked it up yet anyway. Otherwise, I'd say pick it up on a sale or wait until it comes out in the Game of Year edition. Just because I'd recommend it you get it right now, except for that bug just kills it for me. So I hope to see everybody again. Again, this has been the Irresolute Cartographer.